everyone, it's Evangeline here at etrailer.com, and today we are looking at our Yakima OverHaul HD ladder rack here for tonneau covers on our 2021 Toyota Tacoma. If you have a tonneau cover, or if you want to add a tonneau cover to your vehicle, but you also want a ladder rack, these are great options because these mount into the T-track channels on your tonneau cover. So make sure you have that channel right there so that you can mount these ladder racks to it. This works with Pace Edwards, RetraxPRO, and really any other tonneau cover that has those channels. If you already have a Yakima OverHaul HD or an OutPost, you can get this adapter kit to adapt your ladder rack to your tonneau cover. This allows you to mount it in the channels and replaces the quick release system that your other ladder rack system may have. The uprights themselves have a lot of features. One, you can lock them, so I have this unlocked, and if you want to just take off the entire system, you can take off the lock and then loosen your bolts and take off this ladder rack quickly and completely. Another thing is that this is made of a sturdy aluminum construction with this nice matte black finish, so it's actually a lot lighter than I expected, but it's also super sturdy. These are the OverHaul HD uprights, so that means they can adjust up and down. They also have markings in the back, which helps you as you adjust them. Now, if you want something that is fixed, you can also get the OutPost HD instead of the OverHaul. It's really just up to you on what's the best application for your adventures as well as your truck. On the inside, you have these integrated tie-down points, and it's really strong. It's very sturdy, but a nice little feature that they added is how it has a bottle opener here at the bottom. For you Yakima fans out there, these work with your same key system. So if you have Yakima accessories that use a certain key, you can switch out your lock core so that you can use the same key for all of your Yakima accessories. With the OverHaul HD system, you have a 300-pound weight capacity if you're driving on-road. Now for you, my friends that like to go off-road or off-roading, you do have a 180 weight capacity when you do so, so just keep that in mind. This system uses HD bars, so what we have here are the 68-inch long bars, but does depend on your truck or your fit. I highly recommend using our fit guide to find the best length for your vehicle's truck bed, as well as whether you want overhang or not. The HD bars themselves have T-track channels, so if you have T-track accessories, these will mount into them. When you slide your tonneau cover, you can see how the cover fits underneath and doesn't interfere with your ladder rack system. The OverHaul HD can be adjusted up and down. Now the measurement starts from the top of your tonneau cover or the top of your rails, wherever they are on your tonneau cover. So the lowest it can be is 19 inches, which is about here, and the tallest is 30 inches from the top of your rails. For our Tacoma, the measurements for the bars with our 68-inch long bars, we'll take some measurements, and we have an overhang of 12 inches on the side, and these bars are about 40 inches apart, and you can get up to 52 inches for your crossbar spread. This is here on a 5-foot bed on our Tacoma, but if you have longer beds, you can get it further apart. Just note that the minimum crossbar distance for this system is 36 inches. With these uprights, you do have some points here where you can install sidebar rails. So if you want to attach accessories that attach straight to the uprights, this is where you can put them. This system uses HD bars, and that stands for heavy duty, which they are. Now the bars themselves are 3 inches wide. They're slightly larger, so just keep that in mind if you have accessories that clamp around it. I recommend getting T-track accessories to just get the most out of your bars. And you also have these integrated tie-down points, which is awesome just to keep your cargo secure. As for how this works with your tonneau cover, I'll take some measurements of the channels. Now this sits measuring from the center of the channel to the end of the base. It's 2.5 inches. The install process itself is very simple, so let's take a look at that. Before install, what I like to do is just set out all my parts as well as my tools. So we have the parts for our bases that go into the T-tracks. We also have the parts for our bars and our towers. You have included hex keys as well as an included wrench. But what I like to do is use my own ratchet wrench because it makes life a lot easier for me. And I'm using a 13mm socket as well as a 19mm socket. I already installed the first 3 towers, so we are going to install the 4th one together. So this system has 2 different types of bolts depending on what kind of tonneau cover you're installing your system on. Now if you have Pace Edwards tonneau covers, you're going to use a smaller T-track bolt. Right here we have the RetraxPRO tonneau cover, so we're going to be using the wider T-bolt, and that's going to slide into your tonneau cover just like that. Now install 4 of these T-bolts on each side, so 2 for each tower. And what I found was the best way to do this is to install your rubber cover on your tower first. Just make sure your tower is seated onto that cover before you start the whole install process. Once you got as good as you can get, you then put it onto your T-bolts. There you go. Once you have them on your T-bolts, you're then going to loosely install them. So you're going to have a washer here that goes on first, and then you have a nut that goes on top of that washer. For when you want to lock them as well, you also have this washer as well as this lock. So that's the piece you need to install. It's a little bit larger than your nut. Let's hand tighten it first. You can use a 13mm wrench to tighten down the base. For the lock piece, you're going to use the included hex tool to tighten that down. If you're not sure which towers go where, one thing to note is to make sure that your angle is facing each other or towards the inside. Also that you have your part for your bar facing the inside of the bed as well. Now you only loosely install your towers at first so that you can move them around back and forth just to make sure that they are parallel. Now what I did is I measured off of my tonneau cover just to make sure that my front bars were the same distance apart. Then you measure for your crossbar spread. You need to have a minimum of 36 inches from the center of your crossbar to the other center of the crossbar. What I'm using right now is 40 1/8 inches. Once you've confirmed your distances and measurements and you are super sure that each tower is aligned, then you can tighten them down completely. Now we're going to set up our bars. So first we need to put these plates inside our bars, and you need to take out the end cap to do so. So there's this bolt here, and that's holding in that end cap, so we need to take out this bolt with included hex tool and then drop that out. That will allow us to pull off this end cap, and from there we can then just slide in our 2 plates. So 1 and then 2. And after that, put the end cap back on and close it up. Underneath the bar are measurements printed on the bar, and this will help you align them and make sure that they're even on both sides. Now put your plates on each side, kind of as close as you can get to each end, and then put it on your towers like that. If you install your towers right, it should sit flush. Those metal plates you put in your bar, you're going to have to line that up with the hole. I like to use the included hex tool just to make sure that my holes are lined up. For your bolts, you're going to use your included bolt, and then you put the split washer, then the flat washer, and then use the large included tool to mount it onto that plate in the bar. Then tighten it down with that tool. There, once you've tightened down all the bolts, there's 2 on each side, so that means you have 8 bolts total. Double check that all your bars are on there nice and strong and firmly, and then after that you're good to go. Also, don't forget to put the locks on your towers and lock them into place with the included keys. With these Overhaul HD towers, you can adjust the height up and down, and to do so, you're going to have to loosen these bolts. There's 2 bolts in the front and in the back, so use your included hex tool to loosen them. Once you have your bolts loosened, you can then raise or lower your ladder rack as needed. Here on our Tacoma, I have it set to 23. You can see measurements on the inside, which will help you level it out and make sure everything's even. It really depends on your purposes or the height of your cab on your truck. Just another tip is that I like to loosen all 4 bolts here, and sometimes if it's still a tight fit, loosen your bolts on your bars, and once everything's in place, you can then tighten it down with the included tool. My final thoughts about this whole system in general is that I think it's beautiful and works wonderful here with our Toyota Tacoma, because you don't have to sacrifice or choose either a ladder rack or a tonneau cover. You can get both. It works really well with our tonneau cover here. We have the RetraxPRO, but really any tonneau cover that has those T-tracks or those T-channels, this fits into it. It looks really good. It's very sturdy. The process to install was relatively simple. So all in all, I think you really get the best of both worlds with this complete system. I think it's great. And that was a look here at our Yakima OverHaul HD ladder rack for tonneau covers here on our 2021 Toyota Tacoma.